What if I told you that financial security has less to do with how much money you make and everything to do with your relationship with your stuff? Today, we're diving deep into the minimalist rules for unlocking true financial freedom. Here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with a pretty surprising income paradox. Then we'll uncover the true cost of the things you own. After that, we'll walk through some super practical rules for mindful buying and intentional owning. And finally, we'll get into building a system that works for you and redefining what wealth actually means. So let's start with this really counterintuitive idea, the income paradox. It's all about how earning less can, believe it or not, lead to way more financial security. Okay, I want you to picture two neighbors. In one apartment, you have someone earning $95,000 a year, but their home is cluttered, and they are completely stressed living paycheck to paycheck. Right next door, you have someone earning just $52,000. Their place is spacious, calm, and they have 18 months of savings just sitting in the bank. So what's going on here? How is it even possible that someone earning almost half as much can have 10 times the financial security? Well, let's unpack the answer to that paradox. The answer to that puzzle begins right here in uncovering the hidden price of everything you own. We're talking about the true cost of stuff. The key idea here, the big aha moment, is this concept of the second cost. See, it's not the price tag you see in the store. It's the ongoing price of ownership that you keep paying long after you've swiped your card. It shows up as storage, maintenance, mental energy, and opportunity cost. For example, let's take a treadmill. It takes up about 20 square feet of your home, right? Well, in a lot of cities, that space has an implicit rent of about $1,000 a year. You're literally paying to store it, whether you use it or not. Or let's go bigger. How about a boat? The industry rule of thumb is that annual maintenance costs about 10% of its value, so that $30,000 boat is quietly costing you $3,000 a year just to exist. And this isn't just about money. There's a real mental toll. Researchers have actually found that all that visual clutter, all the stuff we have to constantly clean and organize, can increase cortisol, which is the body's main stress hormone. It literally reduces our ability to focus. And finally, the big one, opportunity cost. That $15,000 home gym, if you had just invested that money in a simple index fund instead, it could have easily grown to over $50,000 in 15 years. You didn't just buy a gym, you traded a huge chunk of your future freedom for it. Okay, so now that we get the problem, let's dive into the solutions. This section is all about the rules for mindful buying, how to bring things into your life with real intention. The very first rule is a total game changer. Always, always calculate the cost per use. It's simple. Before you buy anything, just divide the price by the number of times you'll realistically use it. This little calculation completely flips the script on what's cheap or expensive. A $200 jacket you only wear twice costs you $100 per use. But that $400 jacket you wear 200 times, that's just $2 per use. The so-called expensive jacket is actually 50 times cheaper. All right, another essential rule is to rent or borrow before you buy. Seriously, think of it as the ultimate low-risk test drive for your interests. It's a fantastic way to avoid some really costly mistakes. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All those hobbies that start with this huge initial investment, like camping or woodworking or photography. Renting the gear first lets you figure out if your passion is real or just a passing phase. And it saves you from having a garage full of abandoned hobbies. It's also so important to understand what I call the lifestyle multiplier effect. A single big purchase never comes alone. It's like a gateway purchase that brings along a whole crew of related expenses. You buy the boat, and suddenly you also need the trailer, the insurance, the storage, and all the fuel. So, we've covered mindful buying. But what about all the stuff we already have cluttering up our lives? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the rules for intentional owning. This is my absolute favorite tool for decluttering. For every single item you own, ask yourself this simple but incredibly powerful question. If this disappeared today, would I actually spend my own money to replace it? If the answer is no, you have your answer. It probably doesn't have a place in your life anymore. Okay, this next rule is huge, and it targets a major source of wealth destruction. Never, ever upgrade just because you're bored. Replacing things that work perfectly fine just because a new version came out is a massive financial trap. And the cost is staggering. We're not talking about small change here. This habit of constantly upgrading phones, cars, and TVs, items that are still perfectly functional, can easily waste over $200,000 over a lifetime. That's a whole retirement fund just gone. Now, this next rule might sound a little obsessive at first, but trust me, it's incredibly effective. Count your possessions on a regular basis. It just forces an awareness that stops that mindless accumulation. Once you know for a fact you have 47 shirts, buying number 48 just feels different. So we have the rules for buying and owning. But how do we make all of this automatic? That's what this section is all about, building your system and designing an environment that sets you up for financial success. And here's the crucial insight. Your environment is way more powerful than your willpower. You need to create friction for spending, so delete your saved credit cards online. Use a 24-hour weeding rule before big purchases. And at the exact same time, make saving effortless by automating transfers to your investment accounts the day you get paid. This leads us to one of the most profound rules of all. Define what enough means to you before your income starts to grow. You see, high earners often stay broke because their lifestyle just expands to match their paycheck. You have to set a finish line for your material desires. And that's where the magic happens. Once your spending is capped at your personal definition of enough, every single dollar of extra income you earn can go directly into savings and investments. And that just massively accelerates your journey to financial freedom. All of this brings us to our final and maybe most important section, the real definition of wealth. Because it's really not about what you have, it's about what you can do. It really boils down to this. Minimalists measure wealth by optionality, not by accumulation. It's got nothing to do with the size of your house or the brand of your car. It's all about the number of choices you have in your life. So what does optionality actually look like in real life? Well, it's the freedom to quit a toxic job without panicking. It's the ability to take 6 months off to care for family. It's the power to start your own business, or maybe just retire a decade early. That is true wealth.
And when you put all these rules into practice, something really powerful happens. You create this self-reinforcing loop, a virtuous cycle that just builds momentum over time. It works exactly like this. You spend less, which of course allows you to save more. Saving more gives you a real foundation of financial security. And that security, it reduces that deep-seated psychological urge to spend money for status or comfort, which in turn just accelerates your savings even more.
And here's the secret that really locks it all in. It's a two-way street. Owning less helps you build wealth, for sure. But having wealth, real security, makes owning less feel completely natural. You just don't need stuff to prove you're successful anymore because your financial freedom is already telling that story for you. So in the end, it all comes down to a simple choice. The math is clear, the path is laid out. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Do you want to own your possessions, or do you want your possessions to own you?